Okay, well, I'm French from this point of view. My name is Mr. Perin. I work as a farmer in Romania. I have been so for 26 years. I arrived in Romania after the revolution. I grow several hectares of quite fertile land, which needs to be drained and irrigated. We've had quite hard times because it's been 10 years now that we've saw some improvements. However, we've had really hard times. I also grow corn, sunflower, and other crops. I've been trying my hand at sorghum. That's why I'm here, by the way. And I am honored to represent the Romanian Association of Farmers. It's a really young association. It's 7 years old, and it was created on the Corn Producers Association in France, which is a bit older than us. It's 40 years old. Within this association and company, we carry out several tests on corn, sorghum, wheat, barley, soybean, and sunflower. On corn, we have 110 varieties, which we test on microparcels. And we also try to go the extra mile to study and test fertilizers, dosage, and everything that revolves around the growing work. So, you know, there are a lot of aspects and data to deal with. I represent Romanian growers today, and I represent them by the Romanian authorities and by Brussels as well. We try to impose to the so-called voluntary shares. Well, it's we call it liberal, although it is not liberal, but we need to be really well represented by the authorities. We work on 50,000 hectares at a local level, so we need representation both at a local and a European level. There are a lot of farmers in Romania. There's an average of 10 hectares per farmer. But there are a lot of small farmers with 1 or 2 hectares each. However, there are 1,500 companies that have more than 500 hectares each. Sometimes they look like big companies, you know, maybe bigger than what we're used to in Europe. Another characteristic is that the subcontinental climate, we have very low winters with under 25 degrees or more than 40 degrees during the summer. That's what happened in the summer of 2017. So these crops are really tolerant to extreme temperatures. We also deal a lot with random biometry, from 150 to 600 rainfall, average rainfall. However, rainfall are heterogeneously divided onto the country, from 150 to 450 millimeters of rain each year. However, this random distribution of rainfall is really a problem for us. Sometimes we also get more than 700 millimeters of rain per year. In Romania, there's not much wet. And that wet doesn't really get the necessary rainfall that has been going on for the past year as well. We don't know how to deal with this issue. There are climatic random areas, because sometimes we have a total crop failure. We do not harvest what we were supposed to have because we have climate or pest problems that affect the final harvest. These are major issues indeed. And that's why we try to summon up companies in big companies to cultivate major land areas in order to fight back to climate change issues. We do not have much water reserves. And without sufficient irrigation, I would say that sorghum could be really an optimal guest within this landscape. So, light texture soil needs to be drained, low water reserves, and as I was saying before, we are talking about soybean, sunflowers, and corn. We have pest management issues and herbicide issues. We are trying to fight back at this vicious circle which has been drawing in many farmers. We are also aiming at lowering seedling costs and company running costs. Sometimes harvests arrive, the harvest is pushed back. Because with a good rotation program, you spend less money and you have more stable products. There's this expression I'm thinking about compared to what you're saying. Now, risk management, sorghum, I believe that sorghum could be helpful when it comes to environment risk management. I know you were talking about 15,000 hectares of sorghum in Romania, but I don't even have an idea of where they are. Sometimes farmers actually also dedicate themselves to livestock breeding. So the only issue here is that, researchers are here as well. I need to talk about dry down. We need to dry sorghum. So you need to carry out this process. However, this step is a problem for us. So what do you expect from researchers in this sense? Well, we hope to get more productive varieties which can dry more easily. Maybe sometimes in terms of dry down techniques. I'd say that these are quite complicated issues. Well, when it comes to corn, we can harvest 450 tons per hectare. This is its values, and we can harvest it completely. When it comes to 600, dry 600 in October. And this is true for sorghum as well. We need to harvest dry plants when their moisture level is low. We have a problem. We have problems caused by boars, and such problems, such harms are not paid back by the insurance company. We have theft. We have an issue with theft. We need guards, and we need somebody to guard over the fields, even though this issue is becoming less and less important, even though the harm is not great to farmers. This actually frustrates farmers and growers. And this makes growers go from corn to sorghum, because sorghum is harder to steal compared with corn. Sorghum hasn't been stolen so much so far. In Romania you could have 100,000 hectares of sorghum and you could grow it quickly. This would be really possible. The cultivation, the growing phase per se, it's not scaring our farmers, even though you could have problems with herbicides. However, this kind of growing, this kind of grain growing is not really problematic, but sometimes you don't know what to do with it, especially if you compare it with corn. So you really need to leave corn behind because we're sort of blocked on this sense. Romanian lands, much like in Ukraine, are not really fertile. There are different regions. For instance, the one nearby the sea have a relatively dry kind of land. So the questions you get, or that you might get, may be coming from the farmers and not so much by seeding companies. So you might get more questions and you might get more demand from farmers who need sorghum for livestock feeding, because as you've mentioned, sorghum is grown nearby livestock farms. That's right. I want to explain this much better, you know. There is a critical phase or area of 30 to 40 or 50,000 hectares that is essential. And you really need to look at the whole production chain. You know, we need to have good quality, good prices, and good competition. That means that livestock farmers should start trusting sorghum. Why starting growing it if one year you have it and the other one you don't? Why do you have to go through this hassle? You know, this is the question that farmers have been asking themselves. It would kind of be an avalanche effect, you know. It would take some time for farmers to get there. But sorghum can also be exported. Well, one has to bear in mind that half of the production of meat, of swine meat, is imported in. So we import beans as well. I mean, sorghum could be a crutch in this sense, could help us with imports, because this is really an issue in Romania. It's much like the case with soybean, you know. We found the arguments for the case of we need soybean, we need proteins, we need this. So, soybean now is worth 200 to 300 euros per hectare, and that has really helped developing in the market. Well, however, soybean needs irrigation, whereas sorghum doesn't. Since it's a relatively eco-friendly crop, which the European Union has been financing, we could find arguments for the first 5 years of sorghum growing as well to help with sorghum cultivation. I haven't got the figures about soybean, but what would be helpful in pushing forward the sorghum market in Romania? You know, you could have the cultivated area, European funding. These are all interesting aspects for the average Romanian grower. If there were a part of organic farming with European funding, this would be important, right?
Keep on talking in French because I want to ask something to Arnaud. Arnaud, you spoke about challenges in sorghum, which means the proportion of sorghum in European feed, that's a low share. But why is that? Well, you said that it's because we lack, how to say, a threshold, a critical value. So who was born first, the egg or the chicken? So who's going to act as a pioneer and trying to convince producers and feeders to use sorghum more? Well, I think that's up to the EU to foster sorghum production. Well, and it's up to the EU to set the regulatory framework. So it's up to the EU to set the pace. We can't expect feed producers to organize by themselves without help from the EU. That's crazy. It's one of the tasks that EU has to deal with.